This is Spotlight Omaha. Spotlight Omaha is a local podcast that highlights local businesses and influential movers and shakers in the Omaha business community. Spotlight Omaha is brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing. Now, from the Pyramid Contractor Studios, the host of Spotlight Omaha, Jimmy Allen.
Hello, everyone. I am not Jimmy Allen. I am Angela Cheney, and I am your guest host today on the Spotlight Omaha podcast. And I'm excited to have my guest, Allison Beninato, with me today. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. The Spotlight Omaha podcast is where we take you around the city and introduce you to local business owners, influential figures, and people who are making it happen in the Omaha community. We are brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing, which is my company. We help you with all of your search engine optimizations, online marketing, websites, anything you need to get found online or to strengthen your brand, we can help you out with. And we are coming to you from the Pyramid Roofing Studios here at the Pixel Fire Marketing offices. So, Allison, you have a fantastic story. So I'm just going to kind of let you go because this is actually pretty fascinating to me because I've always been interested in Western medicine or not Eastern medicine or complementary medicine. I mean, there's so many different names for it. But totally understand that Western medicine has its place too. Yep. You know, what is the balance there? I know that one's not right and one's wrong. So just to get that out of the way of what I think, I want you to tell us a little bit more about Inspire Collaborative Health Association. So tell us about the organization first, then I'd like to backtrack and see how you got here.
Okay. So yeah, we are a 501c3 nonprofit, and what we do is we bridge the healthcare gap between conventional and complementary providers and practitioners to better support the overall well-being, long and short-term care, preventative measures of the community of patients, and really just trying to create more healthcare options for the community.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's boy, you made a long story short
in
didn't
a
you?
real nutshell. I didn't know how deep you wanted me to go into it yet, but it just the 30,000 foot view. That is what it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit more about how you do that. I know there's an option for providers. There's also an option for the community. So give me kind of both sides to that coin.
Yeah. So we really do advocate for 3 different demographics all at once. I mean, kind of technically even 4, really. So we're advocating for providers, practitioners, and the community, and even healthcare businesses. And so how we do that is we go out and we recruit these open-minded medical providers and these well-trained alternative practitioners. They become a part of our association, our network. They gain 12 different benefits for being a part of our association. In turn, one of those things is they get put into our exclusive directory. And then the community, as a byproduct, has this access point where they can get all of these providers all in one place that all align with our vision and mission, are all willing to work together. So, you know, if you have a doctor now that's willing to work with a nutritionist or an herbalist or a naturopath or whatever it is, you can find them all in one place, and you don't have to go searching and shopping, provider shopping. And they've all been vetted for you. So it really is just saving the community and the patient a lot of extra work, because I've been there myself, where you're like, I don't know who to trust. I don't know where to go. And it gets expensive fast.
Absolutely.
Trying to find that team of people that can help you. So yeah, we're advocating for the providers and practitioners that way. And then the patients, you know, we have that directory. We also have clinical liaison services to help educate and navigate with those patients where their next steps could be, of where they could go to get help. And then we also just rolled out this year a grant program where we can actually help people pay for their non-insurance covered healthcare, because that's always the second question is people go, I'm looking for something alternative. And I say, okay, great. How about whatever provider it may be? And then the next follow-up question is, does insurance cover it?
Right.
And it's always no.
Right.
And so now that's limiting for some people, especially if you're on a strict income or you have a very budgeted, income. And so now you actually don't have to choose health or money. You can come to us, you can apply for a grant, and we can help you pay to achieve whole body health by approaching it through some of those alternative practitioners.
So is there a cost for the community to access these services?
No, that is our community service. When I was designing this, I was very intentional about the fact that I did not want the community to fit the bill for it.
Right.
Or foot the bill. Fit
Foot-
the bill?
foot the
Foot
bill.
the
Yes.
bill. Foot the bill. I was like, wait a second.
Fit the bill,
Pause.
something
Yeah. And so yeah, I knew I didn't want to do that because I felt if you're already at a medical provider and you're looking for something alternative, or maybe you're at an alternative practitioner and you're needing something a little bit more intense like a provider, I feel like you're already having to pay on each side. And so I didn't want to make them also pay in the middle to get there, to get to one side or the other. So it just, I decided that I had to come up with a way and, to design this where it wasn't going to impact the community again financially.
Absolutely. That's fantastic.
And so we have 5 streams of revenue and none of them impact the community. Unless they want to donate, of course.
Right.
But that's optional. But yeah, we our 5 streams of revenue are our medical providers. They pay a small annual due.
Okay.
The businesses that we partner with that are offering health-related services and goods.
Okay.
They pay an annual due. They also get benefits for being a part of our association, and then grants, sponsorships, and then donations. So,
Wonderful.
yeah.
How many providers do you have at this point?
Yeah, so we're in our infancy, but it's going really well. We're just shy of 40. But between those 40, we have over 16 different designations. So designations meaning MD, nutritionist, naturopath, herbalist, all the different degrees, if you will. And then specialty-wise, we're over 60 different specialties. So, you may have a chiropractor, but they offer so many different things, so yeah, it's, I could not be happier with the diversity that we have in the directory so far. People will always ask me that, is it more conventional or is it more complementary?
That was going to be my next question.
Yeah, and it really, I honestly, it could not be more balanced. It is a
Wonderful.
perfect balance. I mean, we've got surgeons and MDs, and we've got naturopaths and herbalists and Reiki, and it's just such a beautiful,
All of
beautiful
those
blend.
in Omaha?
Yes, we will. It started in Omaha because I'm in Omaha, right?
Yep.
But we are actually the first and only multidimensional health association in the country.
Wow.
Yeah, which is
That's
pretty
exciting.
It is very exciting.
Yes.
So yeah, with our goal, our ultimate goal is to go national, because one good thing that COVID did was it really familiarized people with telehealth.
Yes.
And so now it's not uncommon to live in Nebraska and maybe have a provider in Florida or New York
Right.
or Colorado, wherever it may be. And so if we can, with support, and because it takes money to grow and things like that, we want to go national and really help connect people and vet people all over the country and put them in one place here.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And you launched when?
So it was officially filed as a 501c3 in January of 2022, but we
Okay.
started recruiting, but then you have to build the website, do all the things.
Absolutely.
Get it up and going. So we didn't start recruiting until May of 2022. So actually this May will be our 3-year anniversary of officially being up.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah.
Wow. And you've come a long way.
Yeah.
In a little bit of time.
Yes. Yeah. It's been received so well across the board from conventional providers and alternative practitioners and the community. And, when I was conceptualizing about creating this, it was spring, summer of 2021.
Mm-hmm.
So we were still heart of pandemic
Yes,
pretty much at that
yes.
point. And I remember thinking, oh man, we're like in a pandemic. Is this a good time to try to create this new way of medicine? And I was like, well, I'm going to go
Maybe
for
it's
it.
the perfect time.
And
Yeah.
I was like, it's either going to hurt it or help it. And it 150% helped it, because I think people just became tired of this one size fits all model, and people want individualized care. They want to know what's going on with me. How do I figure out my own puzzle? We all
Yes.
have this unique puzzle and our pieces fit together differently. And so, even if you and I were diagnosed with the same thing, what works for me may not work for you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And vice versa. And so now that you can have this directory and have this resource, you can really curate your own individualized team that's willing to work on your puzzle, if you will, for you, with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Angela Cheney here with the Spotlight Omaha podcast here at the Pyramid Roofing Studios, sponsored by Pixel Fire Marketing. And I am talking with Allison Beninato and getting to hear her story about using Western, Eastern medicine, however you want to say it, to bridge that gap so that we all can get the care we need. So we've talked about the organization and launching it. I would love to hear about your personal story of why this mattered to you and why you felt that our community needed this.
Yeah, so I have been in Western medicine for 24 years, doing everything from on the clinical side. I've done medical assisting, pharmacy tech, phlebotomy. I used to assist in nuclear stress tests. I know I'm forgetting something else. There's some other stuff. I'm just like
The whole gamut.
yeah. I've been very thirsty for knowledge. So
Yes.
just always working in clinics for all those years. If there was something someone could teach me, I was like, teach me. I need to know. I want to know. I was just fascinated with all forms of healthcare and anatomy and physiology, and I just drink it up. And so did that for 24 years. I have a medical billing business. About 11 years ago, was having health issues of my own.
Okay.
And I wasn't getting any resolve to them pharmaceutically. And out of sheer desperation, I sought out an herbalist. And honestly, I went to him with a pretty high level of skepticism and pretty low expectations.
Yeah. It was kind of your last resort.
It was, but
Yeah.
I was so desperate. I was like, what do I have to lose?
Right.
Whatever. And so I went to him, and to my surprise, over the next 3 years, he was able to help me with 3 different health issues where my medical providers had kind of thrown their hands up and they're like, we don't know what to tell you now. And so at that point, then my clinical mind became very curious. And I was like, okay, this isn't anecdotal and woo-woo. There is science and history and chemistry, and what is it? And so I started going to school myself. I went to school for 3 years and became a certified clinical herbalist. I went to school for another 2 years and studied naturopathy. And then I sat and took my boards, became a board certified naturopath. And yeah, I'm not done going to school. I want to take another test that's quite large, but
What's that one for?
it's a PhD
Oh,
in natural health.
wow.
And so, but yeah, it takes like 3 days to take it. It's thousands and thousands of questions. So I've got to prep for that one.
Yes.
But it's going to be very, very intense. But yeah, so just constantly, again, that curiosity and that thirst for knowledge and understanding health and healthcare never went away. And then also I kind of skipped over it, but I wasn't only on the clinical side. I was also in those clinics. I've done everything from receptionist all the way up to office management, billing, credentialing, contracting, everything. So I literally understand and know how to work a medical clinic from front to back on both the clerical and the administrative side. And so that's how my medical billing business started. And then I started the schooling and started getting these certifications. And so I was still working with all these providers, and they were kind of side-eyeing me like, what are you doing over there? You're drifting to the other side. What are you doing?
Yep.
But I had a repertoire and a relationship with them. And so, they were comfortable with me. And so as I started becoming an herbalist and a naturopath, they would say, oh, can I send people to you? Or do you know other trusted alternative practitioners? And then as I was meeting more and more alternative practitioners, they were coming to me going, oh, you know doctors. Well, do you know open-minded doctors? And so it didn't take long. I became this hub point between the two sides. And then there was family, friends, community members. Very quickly, everybody was kind of figuring out I was walking this very polarized fence of healthcare. And it didn't take me long to realize, like, man, there is a massive demand here, and no one is supplying this demand. Because I researched it. I was like, there's got to be something. Nothing.
Right.
And so I was like, well, maybe I'm supposed
There
to
you
supply it.
Yeah.
And it was just this very kind of serendipitous moment where all these experiences of understanding, the nuances of medical providers and the clinics and how they run and how that whole industry works. And then also now being a practitioner myself and understanding alternative medicine, and then just also being a patient and the frustrations that can come with being a patient. I just was really positioned in this very unique place where I understood all 3. And so I could look at it through a lens of here's the issues, here's kind of the stigmas or the stereotypes or the problems that people see with the other side. How do we address that? And so that's, I was very, like I said, very intentional with designing the association to address all of those areas, to really advocate for all of the 3 different demographics and make sure that they feel heard. And I understand what it's like to be in that position and why we think what we do. And so essentially the nonprofit really kind of works as, I tell people I'm not team one or the other. I really believe they both have their strengths and their weaknesses, their pros and their cons. They both have a place. And I think they really, really do work very beautifully together. oftentimes people will say there's not data out there for, integrative medicine or alternative medicine or some of these things. But if you go on PubMed, there's over 100,000 articles on integrative medicine and talking about how it increases efficacy of medications or drugs or approaches and decreases side effects. So the data's out there. It's just no one's really presenting it often.
Right.
Because again, everybody's kind of stuck in their silos and on their side or their team, if you will. But there is this huge shift coming that I've seen for a long time being in it. So engulfed in it. And it's just getting stronger and stronger each day and each year.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So Angela Cheney here with the Spotlight Omaha podcast, and we are brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing here at the Pyramid Roofing Studios, and I'm here with my guest, Allison Beninato. So we've talked about your organization. We've talked about why you started it. I always love talking about the whole person. So tell me a little bit about your personal life. Tell me about your family, what you like to do when you're not into building this amazing business doesn't sound like the right word. Organization?
Yeah. Association, organization.
Yes.
Yeah, I've kind of become like a serial entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I do 3 businesses now, and I'm like, what's the next one? I don't know.
Yep,
If you would have
what's
told me 5 years ago I'd be doing this, I'd be like, huh?
Isn't it amazing where life leads us?
Yes, it is very,
Yes.
very interesting. It's an interesting ride. I'm married. I have 2 kids, 2 little girls. And so when I'm not working, they keep us busy.
Yes.
Everybody seems to always be running from one thing to another with kiddos. And so pretty common there. Outside, sometimes it's funny when people ask me what my hobby is. I'm like, what's that?
Yeah.
I haven't had a hobby for
Yeah.
I don't know what that is anymore.
Yeah.
Sadly, but I mean, we're very outdoorsy people. So
Okay.
especially when the weather gets nice, we love being outdoors. I love doing, yard projects or house projects. And I don't know, again, it's just kind of funny where you land, because growing up, I thought I would do something that was so much more, my parents were entrepreneurs and my mom was an artist, and they're very creative minds. And so I thought I would be an interior designer or a carpenter or something with my hands. And then I ended up in medical billing and management. I'm like, what is
What happened?
But growing up, I was like, okay, I'll be a veterinarian or a doctor or a carpenter or a comedian or something. And something that was, and no, this is where I landed. So it's just interesting. But now I think that creativity comes out in designing and problem solving through businesses.
Yes.
And so that is kind of really what I love to do. So I'm just constantly thinking about, in nonprofit world, it's good to have a for-profit arm of the nonprofit to help it stay alive. And so I'm constantly thinking of like, okay, when this gets to a certain point, these are the for-profits that'll come. So it's like my mind is constantly
can't stop. It's always
it can't
what's
stop.
next.
It's problem solving, and I just know so much about all the healthcare and medical world that it's just like, okay, I could fix this thing and this thing and this thing and this thing. And so yeah.
So is it pretty much just you doing this, or do you have a staff?
Oh God, no, I wish.
Okay.
And soon, hopefully.
Okay.
But I do have a board. I have an amazing board. I have 6 board members. We have 3 committees. We have a event committee, a marketing committee, and a finance fundraising committee also. So those are my volunteers that'll help. They're all wonderful. And so, I right now I am the only employee of this thing.
Wow.
So, but
That's a lot to manage.
It is, but again, my mind needs that constant, I think my personality needs that constant like movement and go and switching from coming from a for-profit, background and world to a nonprofit world, there's plenty to learn, and it's like drinking from the fire hose. So it's definitely keeping me occupied, and I'm loving it. I really am loving it.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So if you had to say one final thing to anybody who's watching, what would you say, either on the community side or on the medicine side? What would you say to them that would either help them get involved with the organization or just something you'd want them to know? Because you obviously have a ton of knowledge in this area. And I'm sure sometimes you'd be like, gosh, if they just knew X, or, it'd make everything easier, or they'd make them so much happier, healthier.
Yeah, gosh, what would I say?
It's hard to distill it down to one
I
thing,
know.
to
the 3 different groups of people. I would just say this is happening, whether we recognize it or not, it is happening. There's market trends that look at the CAM market, the complementary alternative medicine market, It's currently valued at $120 billion.
Wow.
And they say by 2033, it'll be a $1 trillion market. So there's this
surprise me, yeah.
rise of this interest coming. And so I know we're in our infancy, and a lot of times people kind of shy away from, like, oh, I'll wait till it's a little bit bigger. It's
Sure.
like, won't get bigger unless people join, so
Yes.
I would say join, support it now, because it's not going anywhere. This will be the new way of healthcare, and it's what people want, and the demand is there. So yeah, I would say come join us. It's an amazing group. The providers and practitioners that we have are amazing. To the community, I would say use our services. That's why we're here. These providers want to help all the patients, and they want to work together. They're very open-minded. Like I said, we vet all of them to make sure that those practitioners, because that's a little bit more the wild, wild west,
Right.
there's no regulations on that. And because I've done billing and credentialing for so long, I set a standard there. So we vet all of those alternative practitioners to make sure that they're also meeting, a standard of requirements for education and professionalism and all these things, similar to their counterparts that the doctors have to meet. So yeah, I would just say, come now. Let us help you. We're here. We're up and running, and we want to help you get the care that you need and help you start feeling better, and help support the providers and practitioners in every way that we can.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being on our podcast. And thank you all for listening into the Spotlight Omaha podcast. I will be your guest host for the next week while Jimmy's in New York City. Yes, covering a game. So I'll have a lot
okay.
of fun doing that. But I would like to thank you again and encourage everyone to go visit the site. We'll have the information on the video, so you know where to go, and help support this amazing organization. We'll see you next time on the Spotlight Omaha podcast.